Some of you are going to be so triggered by this, but I'm just going to give you the raw truth. I'm going to explain it to all the people that are losing their crap on why packaging matters. What's our fascination with cardboard? I'm going to explain it to you. Hey everybody, welcome to Blockbuster Box Sets. On today's episode, we're going to take a break from highlights from my collection, and I wanted to talk about a subject that kind of got my juices flowing when I saw a recent video from Brian from Last Movie Standing. One of his latest videos he was doing was talking about tips and tricks to save space. One of the things he did highlight was, I didn't send him free stuff. It wasn't solicited or anything like that. It wasn't sponsored, but he highlighted my clear cases that I have produced that have no logo on them. And he was highlighting how that can save space. And he was showing some other things and giving some tips and tricks as well that I thought were really good and were very informative and helpful for the physical media community. The part of the video that triggered me as far as like getting my creative juices flowing on wanting to talk about this as a video is he highlighted some comments that people had posted on one of his other videos of why does packaging matter? I'm paraphrasing on this, but essentially what they were saying was, why is everyone so swept up with the packaging? We should be focused more on the movie. And I'm being nice. That's the nice version of that. They were actually, to me, quite rude and aggressive in their comments, which they clearly didn't seem to understand why people, especially movie YouTubers, physical media YouTubers, are highlighting and showing off and talking about the packaging for these physical media releases. And these I'm just going to call them standard edition collectors. They don't seem to understand. So I thought this would be a good video and a good topic to kind of for me to express to you why packaging matters and why it really impacts and makes a difference in your collection, as well as why movie tubers are highlighting it so much. So the first thing I want to talk about is presentation. And what I mean by that, and I'm gonna move my camera here in a second, but I wanted to kind of show you visually by what I mean by presentation. So would you rather, the standard edition folks, this is their collection. Okay? That's what their collection looks like. All right? That's standard edition stuff. Nothing special about it. You just want it. The movie's important to you. You wanted to collect the movie. Okay? That's what your collection looks like. Or now, let me ask you, which is more eye-appealing, aesthetically pleasing to you? That or this? So obviously I'm not comparing apples to apples, standard editions, you really can't display them the way I can display this. But that's part of the beauty, and what's going on in the physical media world is it's no longer, and the standard edition people, I would argue that they are stuck in the past and they don't understand that the market is not what it used to be, nor is it ever going to come back to that, where it was just the standard edition. Because you have to remember, the standard editions, as they were, that was when physical media, as far as like DVDs and Blu-rays, was in its heyday. I've talked about this in previous videos. I talk about it in my video what is the cost of physical media. If you have not seen that video, I definitely recommend you check that out. That's where I talk real numbers. back in like 2006, it was like almost a $14 billion industry for physical media sales. Last year, it was less than $1 billion. Okay? And that's with DVD, Blu-ray, and now 4K, all combined. That's all that it amounted to, was less than $1 billion from almost $14 billion, 20 years ago. So the market has changed where they are not really mass producing these titles. So what it has shrunk into is a collector's market, not a mass general audience consumer market. That's the biggest thing. And so when you are making less copies of something, as I've talked about in my previous video, the cost of physical media, when you make less, it costs you more per unit to produce that. Okay? So that means the price is going to go up. Well, people in general are not going to pay more or don't like paying more for the same thing. So if I give you a standard edition that you've been buying and you've normally been paying $25, $30 for, but now it's in the same cheap case, it's the same kind of disc, but now I want you to pay $55 for it, you're going to throw a fit. So what are these companies, these boutique labels and studios supposed to do? Well, one of the things that they can do is add value to the release by giving you better packaging, giving you maybe new artwork, things like that, where they're comparatively on their scale, it's a much smaller percentage in cost to produce and have made like commissioned artwork, or give you, instead of one jewel case, you get each movie in its own separate jewel case with its artwork from that. Okay, that's it doesn't cost that much more to add on their scale, to add a couple of those things on to increase the value. That's why you're getting a lot of steelbook releases now, is steelbooks have the perception of, and I mean, they do add value to the release. So instead of giving you that movie in a standard jewel case, plastic jewel case, they're giving it to you now in a steelbook with, maybe newly commissioned artwork or a different kind of artwork that you hadn't seen before, but was part of their official catalog of artwork that they had when the movie first came out. So what they're trying to do is, because of inflation and also because of the fact that they are making less, having less units produced, which is going to increase their cost, they have to raise the price, and they're trying their best to give you added value with that. So that's why you're seeing more of collector's edition type stuff. All right, so that's one of the aspects of it. It's a cost thing, and they're trying to add value so that you don't feel like you're getting what you're paying for, versus you're just getting ripped off with, if they charged you $50 for a standard plastic jewel case release versus a steelbook with a booklet that comes in a box set or something like that. That's one of the things of why packaging matters, because it adds value to the product itself. The next reason why packaging matters is it adds uniqueness, but also it can create uniformity in your collection that you don't get from what I was showing you, like with the standard editions. It's just a hodgepodge, a mixture. Some things are in slipcovers, some things aren't. I've kind of talked about it before, of there is little to no uniformity in the standard edition releases. Even in franchises, like I'll use the Matrix franchise, for example. When they came out with the Matrix 1, 2, and 3 on 4K Blu-ray, the design all went together, the spines were all uniform, but when they came out with the fourth Matrix movie, they completely abandoned that, and they, instead of it being black with green, Now, it was white with kind of a greenish type thing. The logo or the 4K UHD logos were flip-flop. They were different. And so there's no uniformity with that. However, with better packaging, aka like limited edition releases or, you know, stuff like that I creates uniformity. And I would argue that there's a great many of us in the physical media community that have varying degrees of OCD. Okay, so presentation, value, uniformity. Those are three big reasons why people like me and movie tubers are so-called obsessed with cardboard. You know, the thing is that it's not the cardboard, right? It's the artwork. For me, it's the artwork. And that brings me kind of to like another key point in why packaging matters beyond the standard release is you get amazing new artwork. You're becoming an art collector, as it were. It's another layer for you to not only show off for yourself and anybody else in the family or friends that happen to come over, but it is a way for you to get the feel the love of those films just by walking down and looking at that on your shelf. Amazing artwork like that. Like I'll use, for example, the Rocky box set that I have there. It has the entire encompassing artwork style, encompassing the whole franchise. It has, completely new artwork from it. So not only does it presentation wise look tremendously better than what we were handed for a physical media release. I love the Rocky movies, but this is just a straight injustice that was done to Rocky fans. Nothing about this encompasses the franchise. It doesn't, inspire me. It doesn't enhance my love of the film. The only thing it does do is saves you space versus giving you a box set. That's all this does. Everything else about this is garbage. This is beautiful. That I can come downstairs, look at, and I'm inspired, and it makes me want to watch that film or any of the films in particular. Makes me think about the films in general, scenes from it. It gives me feels, which is one of the things that we love about films is that they make us feel. They bring out, love, hate, anger, laughter. We go and watch films because we want to be thrown into that world. We want to be taken on an adventure. We want to sympathize with those characters. Standard edition releases like that Rocky that I just tossed on the floor, that doesn't bring any of that. So I would argue that one of the things that really good packaging does do is it actually makes you want to revisit these films more often. When you have them in the standard case, spines out, and it becomes the, cluster of chaos, as it were. There's nothing in particular. There's no one particular title on your collection or, on your shelf of your collection that's going to draw your eye to say, hey, I want to watch that. When was the last time I watched that movie? Or, you know what? I'm really in the mood for that. That's what good packaging does. That's what cardboard does for you. It's not the cardboard. The case could be plastic. It could be metal. It doesn't matter about that. People that are in the standard edition or hate, for some reason, they have a hatred of like actually good packaging box sets. They don't appreciate the artwork and what that does. For me, I come down and I see these and it gives me the feels of, it's kind of a time warp at times where I'm like, it gives me the, it takes me back into my childhood when we went to the video rental store, and it was the artwork, the cover poster art on the Blockbuster clamshell case that drew my eye to many, many titles that I had no idea. I couldn't see a trailer online. It wasn't happening back then in the 80s and 90s, right? So all I had was that poster to catch my eye, the artwork, and then read the kind of the synopsis and see if that got me, right? But it was the artwork that caught you out of all the sea of all of those movies that were in the video rental store. Okay? Streaming doesn't give you that either. Streaming's the same thing. It feeds you the algorithm, but it also only gives you a tiny little thumbnail of a picture. And that's why I think it's so hard for people to figure out what the hell they actually want to watch when they're streaming, is because they don't have anything that catches their eye. There's nothing that inspires them. There's nothing in the artwork or there's nothing tangible in front of them that gives them the feels and the urge to want to watch a certain film. That's what packaging does. That's why it matters among all of the other things. I would say the other thing that really matters when it comes to packaging, and Brian kind of highlighted this, and that's one of the reasons why I made the clear cases and had them produced with no logo on it, is because I for myself, I want you to be able to unite your collection. One of the biggest problems that we have, especially in this day and age, with physical media moving into a collector's market, it's a little bit smaller in size, is you'll buy a movie, a steelbook, and it only comes with the 4K. But you probably, most likely, already have either a DVD copy or a Blu-ray copy of that, right? So now you've got this nice steelbook edition, but you've also got maybe another edition or two on your shelf. With my clear cases packaging, and with it having no logo on it, you can bring all three of those versions together. And especially this, I would say this applies a lot to the standard edition folks, versus you having three or four cases on your shelf. You can now have one case on your shelf with that movie in all its formats. So you're consolidating, you're uniting your collection. You're not having to get rid of things for space. Packaging is everything. Here's the thing. If packaging didn't matter, right, then nothing would come boxed up. Nothing. You would not buy a CD in a jewel case with artwork and a booklet with information on it, or about the artist or the album, right? You wouldn't get that. It would just be in like a little plastic sleeve. The other thing that's really which I don't know why it triggers them, but I think what the standard edition folks have forgotten is that, back when physical media was more prevalent and more popular and more mainstream, where the average person was collecting it, is that you were getting really good packaging at that point. I would point you to like the DVD of Lord of the Rings. Beautiful individuals, looked like leather-bound book designs. Indiana Jones on DVD and Blu-ray in their own individual cases, in a really sturdy box with really, good artwork. That's iconic. That's the thing, is we remember and we can point to and have fond memories of these particular, even the standard edition folks. I would argue that you still have those box sets, and which is in really good packaging from earlier on, when movies were still more physical media was more prevalent and more popular in the mainstream, versus now, which it has become a collector's market. You were getting really good packaging, and you weren't complaining then about people highlighting that stuff or people showcasing it. Let's talk about the Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th Blu-ray box set from Scream Factory. Beautiful artwork, beautiful pack. Like all nice together. That's not a standard edition release. That's a collector's edition box set. That gave you uniformity. That gave you amazing artwork. It makes you seeing it on the shelf. It draws your eye and makes you think about those films, which that's what one of the big arguments and that I saw in like the captions of like, we need to be focusing more on the movie. The packaging and the artwork that is wrapped around that worthless cardboard to you is what inspires you to watch those movies. It draws your eye. It brings up your feelings about those films. It brings up memories from your childhood. Maybe like I know like for Chase on his channel, he's mentioned how there are certain films, like I think it was like Beastmaster. He has that on his shelf because and that packaging that he has displayed, it reminds him of his time with his dad, good memories with his dad. That's what packaging can do. That's what that worthless cardboard can do. That's why it's so freaking important. Beyond your little standard jewel case that you guys just want to defend for some reason, that you have some hatred for. Lastly, I would say this, as far as like why movie tubers, are highlighting, showcasing, emphasizing the packaging. It's content. We're trying to make content that is going to be more than like 5 minutes long. We're trying to show you what it is that you're actually getting in case you haven't bought it. It's just like anything else. There's Siskel and Ebert. They did the reviews for the movie, right? That's what movie tubers are for. They're doing the review of the product, which includes the movie. They talk about the movie. I know a lot of movie tubers, they complain about, and I think too many of us get like sucked down the rabbit hole of grain structure and Dolby Vision versus HDR10 Plus and all of this other stuff. And I do feel that we for a little bit forget about the movie. That being said, let's be honest. The majority of these movies that are coming out, they're catalog titles. We've all seen them. We've all seen these. We know the movie, right? So what we're going to talk about, or not me in particular, I don't do that kind of content, but there are plenty of YouTubers out there that do that content where they highlight and they will give you side-by-side comparisons of the Blu-ray to the 4K to the DVD. Brian from Last Movie Standing does a great job of that. There's other channels that do that. But we're also trying to show you the whole product, and part of that is the packaging. We're going to show you the artwork. We're going to tell you if it's a sturdy box or if we think it's, a piece of crap. We're going to show you the booklets, the art cards, everything, so and you can see with your eyeballs what it is that you're getting, because quite honestly, a lot of these listings do not show you everything, or do not show you in a way that you can see it up on your big screen television, and instead you're looking at it on your small phone. So I will defend all of the movie tubers that are highlighting the packaging in all its forms, unboxings, stuff like that. They're showing you what you would be getting, and they're showing it to you up close. They're taking their time. They're breaking it down in individual things versus just snapshot of like mid to far away shot that you may be able to zoom in on or not on your phone, right? So they're doing you a great service by highlighting that packaging to show you exactly what you're getting, and then you can make the best informed decision as to whether or not there is enough value there for you to pull the trigger on. That's what the movie tubers are doing, and that's what I would defend all of them on for when they're talking about and highlighting these physical media releases, because that's part of it. Presentation matters. Packaging matters with this. Again, if it didn't matter, then nothing you ever buy in your life would come in any kind. No one would give any effort into the packaging. I would, I'll give you another perfect example of this. Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre chainsaw release that came out, right? Some of these are getting ridiculous. I will give you that. But They know, that company knew that you probably already have a 4K of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So they're trying to give you added value, whether or not they priced it correctly or not. They did try to get creative and give you added value, that it added more to your collection than just another disc, another copy of the film. I myself am not a fan, or I should say, I'm not a collector of, I gotta have every iteration of a film. Like I know some films, like I'll use like American Pie, or like I've seen these like one-click boxes. I'm not, for me, that's not the type of collector I am. I don't need 3 copies of one movie in a box set taking up that kind of space. If I'm gonna have a box set, I want it to be the franchise, not just one of the films in the franchise. But that's the beauty too, is again, this is why I don't understand, like there's like this little small niche in the physical media community that like just has this intense hatred for those of us that like to collect differently from them. I think that what we all need to walk away with is the commonality. We all love the movies, right? Who gives a shit if I have 7 different copies of whatever film and you just collected the one standard edition, right? We both love the film, right? It's not necessarily that I love the film more than you, but that's how I chose to curate my collection. And I would say that, like, there are I think I heard this one. The difference between a collector and a hoarder is, like, you basically have the space. How is your organization of it, right? There are collectors and movie tubers in this community. They're hoarders, and there are also those that are where they just collect everything. Like, nothing's actually special to them. They're just collecting everything to have everything, versus buying what they actually like or love, right? And that's their prerogative. I don't, it doesn't bother me. But there's this like anger, this tension, this misunderstanding, and they're being very vocal about it, and attacking the other people in the physical media community. And I just think I think you're wrong for doing that. And I think that you are lacking the perspective, the other person's perspective, so you can understand why they care about XYZ. Why does packaging matter? I'm hoping that this video kind of explains that. I'm sure some are just gonna, like, it's like talking to a brick wall. You're not gonna get it. But for the rest of you that have an open mind, I hope that this video has really helped articulate and explain that a little bit better to you, of why packaging matters. Like, I'll use my Star Wars VHS, One Last Time box set, right? I don't own a VCR anymore. I haven't owned a VCR in like 20 years. However, I keep that, and the packaging on it means so much to me, because I have so many fond memories of my childhood with that release of Star Wars, with the poster art, with them re-releasing it in the theater for the special editions, not knowing what those special editions were going to be. It was just exciting, like, to be able to see Star Wars on the big screen. I didn't understand at the time what that meant when they said, this is your, the last opportunity to own the original Star Wars trilogy the way it was, right? That's what packaging can do. It's not just cardboard. It's the artwork, it's the nostalgia, it's the memories, it's the feelings, it's the thing that catches your eye, that draws you to it, makes you think about those films, your love of those films, and even probably making you want to watch and helping you to decide what movie you want to watch on movie night. So that's why packaging matters. For all of you that are anti-packaging haters, you're wrong. You need to get on board with the rest of us of understanding. We're not telling you that you have to collect it, but you need to definitely ease up off of the haterade and the keyboard worrying that you're doing, because you're wrong. You're not doing anything positive for the community. You're just being a troll and a hater, and nobody likes that. So don't be a troll, hater, loser. Be more understanding, be more open-minded, and hopefully this doesn't trigger you too hard, but I'm sure it will. But that's my thoughts. And I would say that for any of those troll haters out there, instead of keyboard worrying and attacking us, do what the rest of us do. Open up a YouTube channel and talk about it on screen and see if anybody actually agrees with you. Maybe you can build your own following and your own tribe that you can have, where you gather all your packaging haters together. The thing is, in the end, yeah, the movies matter. That's why we're collecting them. But I would argue this is my perspective. I get, especially from the creative side of it. Now, this is a little bit different versus those that don't do this. But for me, when I go and I create something new, a new box set packaging for the movies that I love, it gives me more joy, and I shouldn't say more joy. It gives me so much joy and so much excitement and good feels. It's as though I just got that movie for the first time. It's though I just saw that movie and I walked out of the theater having seen it for the first time. That's what, for me, that's what packaging can do. It's very, very powerful. Like I said, gives you the feels, brings back memories, all that, it's circular, all good things. So, I hope that this video entertained you. Hopefully it opened your eyes and gave you a little bit more perspective of why packaging matters. And I hope you have a wonderful day.